The other thing to say about Ocho here is could not get Ocho to start. Pushed it around the parking lot, push start, drop the clutch, nothing. But I don't think Seth put any gas in the gas tank, so we're gonna fuel it up and see if this bike will actually run. That might have actually prevented the carb from getting clogged, which would be a nice little addition if so. Let's find out. Okay, the night is quickly approaching. I put gas in Ocho, spilled some on the ground, and pull it off the stands and see if it'll run. The answer is no. Ocho does not run. Gas on, gas off, tank full. Nothing, not even a hint of starting. So that will have to wait till this weekend. Electrically, everything here on the dash lights up when you're pushing it around and the motor is spinning, so it does have power at least. Okay, it's Friday night after work. Oh my God, how late am I gonna be out here? Anyway, I got the carb off Ocho, took the gas tank off, tail section. Not too bad, everything's pretty clean. That's no surprise considering, you know, use, and Seth takes pretty good care of things. So, carb is off. The carb is now taking a bath. Got about 120 float bowl is off. All I did was dump the carb in here. What I did find was the float bowl was empty. There was almost no fuel in it. In the bottom, it looked like brown syrup. It was definitely not fresh fuel in there. It looked like, yes, Seth had drained the float bowl. Fuel was out of the system, but what was in there was pretty varnished. I don't know how old it is. So I will try to clean it. The floats would not move on the carb. That's why I couldn't get it started. It literally was not filling the float bowl when I turned the gas tank on. So if we could get the float to move, it'll fill the float bowl with fuel and we have a chance of getting it started up. But with that said, all the other varnish in there, I'm probably sure that any of the jets are clogged, so hopefully a little ultrasonic tip here will clean it up. Okay, after 20 minutes in the bath, this is still pretty damn grody. I think I need to, well, the floats move now, so that's good news. The float valve is no longer stuck, but that is just nastiness. So I will further take it apart and see what I can clean off physically. It's better than it was. Like I said, the floats are moving. Float bowl, that got pretty clean. There's still little deposits in the bottom, but I think that's just fine. So this is the messiness. This little shroud comes off. Need to clean that up. Gross, gross, gross. Okay, this is super gross. I'm literally scraping it off with a pick. This is like hardened clay. Very messy. I guess I'm gonna be scraping for a while. I don't know about those jets there. That just, we'll see. I don't know how clean I'm gonna get that. I guess I need to unscrew them and pull them out and clean it up. That float valve was, yuck. Well, I could not get the pilot jet cleared out. I could not see through the jet, so I am replacing it since I have a spare. Make life easier, simpler. Screw that in. I cleaned up the main jet there. not too bad. Cleaned out the float valve, and I'm gonna put everything back together. It looks pretty good. Okay, so I took my tiny brush, brushed everything off. I think it's pretty clean at this point. I'm gonna put the float bowl back on and put it back on the bike now. Let's see if it runs. Okay, that's back together, got the screws in, cleaned up, got all the gunk out of the float bowl, bolted on, and let's see. Okay, I sort of got the carb in here, tighten the nuts, finger tight. Same thing over here. And then just the fuel line. And getting the choke cable connected. It's hard to see. Right down in there, into the cable. And that needs to route up. This, that in there, tighten the bolt, and then we have a breather line that comes around that. Let's put that out of the way. Sorry about that. Breather line there. Ooh, maybe that needs to go between the cable and the bracket. Flip it around, put it back in. There we go, that looks better. Okay, tighten the screw, put the top back on, put the air filter back on, and let's get some fuel to it. At this point, I've screwed the cap back on the carb. Fuel line is ready to go to the fuel tank. Choke is all set up, and it operates when I pull the choke lever. That is good. I have the overflow for the fuel tank hookup once I get the fuel tank back on. Closer. Okay, the tank is back on. I'm going to turn the fuel petcock on. Hopefully we will have gas flowing to the carb now. Carb. I'm going to try to give it a start now. See if we can get it running. Okay, since Ocho's tail section is too small for me, it's the stock one, I took the tail section off of Ginger and put it on Ocho here. So the seat is on. I can use that to ride tomorrow. It is longer. So the other thing I did that you didn't see was me pushing this all over the parking lot. I'm gonna prove that it actually runs. Okay, Ocho really does run, I promise. Noon at this point. I am riding Ocho. As you can see, we have internal combustion. I think the last time I rode Ocho was 3 or 4 years ago. Make sure the choke is turned off. What makes the little Hondas hard to ride is they're physically very cramped for my long legs. This bike is different than my last one. Tires, most notably. The levers on the bike are non-adjustable. They are pretty much where they are. Brake lever is what it is. The bike is rolling on slicks, super soft front, soft rear. I'm presuming that is because the bikes are so incredibly light. They just don't put any load on the tires, and without load you don't have grip. The tach goes to 15,000 RPM. This NSF was made, I think, around 2020. I'm dragging knee and I'm not doing anything. Gearing is different on this bike. I look at the rear sprocket, I think Seth said it's a 29 tooth. I think what I had on mine was a 34, which we'll see. I don't know what the top speed of this bike is going to be with a 29 tooth rear sprocket. Has a 5-speed transmission, of course. It is a warm day, but there's not sun on the track. The track is not hot. But temperature-wise, it's quite nice. I'm wearing my perforated suit. So I think my idle speed is a little too high. The bike is pushing through the corners. Maybe that's a good thing. Well, I'm going to say yes, that actually is a good thing once I start going faster. I am running a lap timer on the back of the bike, but it's a race box, so there's no visual feedback while I'm riding. Wow. I can really feel it pushing through the corner with the throttle, I mean. The throttle's already on. I literally have the throttle closed there. The potential negative for that is that you go into the corner and you close the throttle and you're having to use the brakes to continue to slow down so you hit the right apex speed. So the last time out I was running standard shift. This bike is set up for GP shift. The shifter lever's a little high for my taste. I should say not my taste, but my ankle mobility. Yeah, I need to move that shifter down. I'm having to reposition my foot to be able to get under the shift lever. Yeah, I need to go fix that idle speed.